Have you ever gazed into the fractured mirror of your own ambitions, where the whisper of power tempts you to rebuild from the ashes of what once crumbled, blurring the veil between creator and destroyer? Or felt the pull of a forgotten symphony, one that harmonizes ruin with rebirth, echoing the hidden fractures in your soul where hope clings like dew on a blade's edge? Imagine the acrid tang of smoke curling through ancient woods, the rough bark of cursed trees scraping against your fingertips like unspoken regrets, the distant howl of winds carrying secrets long buried. This is the precipice where Let's Announce the Founding of Mynoghra unfolds, not merely a title, but a shadowed incantation, a dream half recalled from the depths of your own yearnings, promising an epic where foundations rise from desolation, beckoning you to question. What empire would you forge if ruin were your canvas? Remember those epic tales that once ignited your spirit, the grand strategies of worlds like Overlord or the tactical conquests in games that shaped your nights, where heroes weren't saviors but architects of chaos? Those echoes of cunning and camaraderie, the thrill of building against the odds, they aren't relics gathering dust. They're reborn here, pulsing with a fierce vitality that demands you surrender anew, as if the legends of your youth have clawed back from oblivion, sharper, hungrier, urging you. Haven't you always craved to command the storm once more? In this realm, a cursed forest pulses like a living wound, its shadows thick with the scent of damp earth and latent peril, where every rustle hints at eyes watching from the gloom. Here strides Takudo Ira, a figure etched with the invisible scars of frailty, a young soul once confined by illness, now thrust into godhood, his every decision weighted like the chains of fate he never sought. Released on July 13, 2025, this chapter draws you into his orbit, where his gentle hesitations clash against an aura that radiates dread. Much like those historical leaders who built empires from exile, their quiet resolve masking tempests within. Beside him, Atu, the sludge which embodies loyalty forged in fire, her voice, delivered with a timbre that shifts from velvet menace to playful intimacy by Tamori Kusunoki, captures the tremble of devotion, evoking the fierce guardians in tales like Joan of Arc's unyielding stand, yet laced with a personal warmth that pulls at your heartstrings. And then the dark elves emerge, refugees bearing the bruises of persecution, their elder Molter carrying the burden of survival like a crown of thorns, his propositions laced with desperation that mirrors the migrations of history's displaced peoples. Gia, the warrior, bristles with guarded fire, her actions a dance of pride and vulnerability. Can you feel it, the way their paths intertwine with Takudo's, like threads in a tapestry you yourself might weave? What wounds from your own life would you bring to such a convergence, where alliances form not from strength, but shared fragility? Deeper still, the currents swirl around the abyss of choice. What does it mean to embrace evil, when survival demands it, like those pivotal moments in history where conquerors justified shadows for the sake of dawn? Takudo grapples with burdens that echo your own quiet battles, loneliness cloaked in power, the seductive pull of selfishness amid ruin, questioning if freedom blooms from sacrifice or blooms thorns instead. Atu's fierce protectiveness stirs reflections on identity, her dual nature a mirror to the masks we wear in life's arenas, provoking you. Haven't you hidden your true self behind facades, only to yearn for authenticity? The dark elves' dilemmas pulse with the agony of belonging, their transformations a visceral reminder of how persecution forges unbreakable bonds or unbreakable resentments, much like the philosophical rifts in stories of fate versus will. Feel the weight of these unspoken queries settling in your chest, like the hush before a storm. Do you dare confront how far you'd bend morality to claim your place? Visually, the canvas unfurls with deliberate strokes. Shadows cling like lovers to twisted branches, low angles amplifying Takudo's imposing silhouette against desaturated palettes of muted greens and blacks, evoking the gritty realism of war-torn landscapes in films like Apocalypse Now, where light pierces only to highlight isolation. Fluid motions and encounters capture the tension of stillness shattered by sudden grace. Extreme close-ups on Atu's expressive eyes, smug, then tender, drawing you into her turmoil as if you could reach out and trace the curve of her resolve. The animation's texture feels raw, gritty, mirroring the harsh rebirth of a civilization, yet it invites you. Doesn't this stark beauty remind you of those moments in your life when chaos birthed unexpected clarity, the play of light and dark sculpting truths you'd rather ignore? Some murmur that the cadence lingers too long in deliberation, a deliberate meander through mists that might feel like a stall. Yet, this very restraint isn't stagnation, but a masterful immersion, letting the gravity of each negotiation seep into your veins, forging an intimacy with the world that frantic rushes could never etch, much like how icons of strategy endure not despite their depth, but because of it. We must cease deeming patience outdated, for in this revolution of slow-burn conquest, the true power reveals itself not in speed, but in the soul-deep resonance that lingers. The auditory veil envelopes like a shroud, the orchestral swells of the soundtrack, composed with meticulous jingles angles and building crescendos, haunt the hearings like echoes of ancient rites, their motifs raging against encroaching threats or humming fragile hopes, punching through your senses akin to the symphonies in epic battles of yore. Atu's voice shifts like a blade in silk, her domineering tones to outsiders a controlled ferocity that disturbs yet captivates, while the absence of sound in pivotal silences amplifies dread, a vacuum that magnifies intimacy. Can you hear it, the way a single note lingers like the taste of regret, drawing you closer to the character's inner tempests, as if the melody whispers your own unresolved harmonies? And then, the inexorable convergence. Destinies collide in a moment of declaration, where simmering alliances erupt into a forge of new realities, shattering illusions with a clarity that guts you, much like those historical turning points where a single oath redefined empires. What profound riddle hangs in the ether, reshaping all that precedes it? Will you stand at this crossroads, feeling the shift ripple through your own convictions? Not every tale begs to be glimpsed. Some seize your essence, demanding you plunge into their embers, to emerge transformed. Are you prepared to announce your own founding amid the ruins, to let this episode etch uncomfortable verities into your marrow, redefining the horizons of your soul? Step forward, watch now, and let the conquest begin. Have you ever felt the tremor of your own heart, caught between the hunger to create and the dread of what creation might cost, where every choice carves a wound that both heals and haunts? Or have you yearned for a chord that resonates with the chaos of your own ambitions, a melody that weaves triumph from the threads of despair, stirring the shadows within your soul? Picture the brittle crunch of frost beneath your boots, the air sharp with the scent of iron and decay, the distant clatter of steel like a heartbeat pulsing through a cursed dawn. This is the crucible where the first campaign ignites, not just a title but a primal summons, a half-forgotten vow etched in the marrow of your being, whispering of battles that reshape not just worlds, but the very essence of who you might become. It's a call to arms, a challenge to stand at the edge of ruin and ask, what would you sacrifice to forge your legacy? Recall those tales that seared your youth, the strategic symphonies of Code Geass or the relentless conquests of Fire Emblem, where every victory bore the weight of loss, where cunning danced with betrayal. Those aren't mere memories. They pulse anew in this episode, reborn with a ferocity that claws at your senses, demanding you relive the thrill of commanding fate, as if the epics of your past have sharpened their edges, urging you. Don't you long to wield that power again, to shape a world trembling on the brink? In the shadowed expanse of Mynoghra's cursed dominion, where the ground itself hums with latent malice, the air tastes of frost and forgotten oaths. Here, Takuto Ira, a boy reborn as a god, carries the weight of a frail past like a phantom limb, his every step a negotiation with destiny. Released on July 20th, 2025, this episode unveils his quiet resolve, a flicker of hesitation in his eyes, voiced by Shigeo Shiba with a cadence that trembles with both vulnerability and steel, reminiscent of leaders like Alexander, who conquered yet yearned for home. Can you see yourself in his gaze, caught between ambition and doubt, as if your own dreams teeter on the edge of a blade? Atu, the sludge which moves like a shadow cast by a dying star, her loyalty to Takuto a fierce, unspoken vow that Tamori Kusunoki imbues with a playful menace that shifts to heart-wrenching tenderness, evoking the fierce devotion of warriors like Milan, yet uniquely her own. The Dark Elves, led by Elder Molter, bear the weathered scars of exile, their designs stark with angular features and eyes that gleam with guarded hope, their voices carrying the gravel of survival. Gia, the warrior, wields her spear with a grace that masks her fury, her every motion a testament to pride forged in persecution. Don't you feel their yearning, their desperate need to belong, echoing those moments in your life when you stood at the crossroads of acceptance and defiance, wondering which path would define you? What does it mean to wage war when the enemy is not just flesh, but the very ideals you hold dear? Takuto's internal storm rages, a mirror to your own battles, where ambition clashes with morality, where the allure of power tempts like a siren's call, promising glory yet threatening ruin. Atu's fierce protectiveness questions identity, her dual nature a reflection of the masks we don to face the world, whispering, haven't you ever hidden your true self, only to crave release? The Dark Elves' struggle for survival probes the cost of loyalty, their choices echoing the historical diasporas, where communities clung to hope amidst despair. Feel the weight of their unspoken fears, like the silence before a verdict, pressing against your chest. How far would you go to protect what you've built, even if it meant embracing the darkness within? The visual tapestry unfurls like a war banner tattered by time. Frost-rimed landscapes gleam under a sickly moon, Dutch tilts disorienting as Takuto's resolve wavers, low angles casting him as both deity and mortal against a desaturated palette palette of grays and blues, evoking the bleak intensity of Berserk's war-torn fields. Shadows slither like living things, their edges sharp enough to cut, while the fluid motion of combat, a spear's arc, a spell's flare, feels like a dance of defiance, each frame pulsing with the grit of survival. The animation's texture is jagged yet deliberate, mirroring the harsh birth of a fledgling empire. Don't these visuals stir memories of your own battles, where clarity emerged from chaos, where light and shadow sculpted truths you dared not face? Some murmur that the episode's pacing falters, a deliberate march through strategy's maze. Yet, this measured rhythm isn't a stumble, but a masterstroke, letting each tactical choice sink into your bones, each pause a breath held before the plunge, much like the enduring strategies of civilization that thrive not in haste, but in calculated depth. We must stop deeming deliberation outdated, for in this revolution of measured conquest, the flame of tension burns brighter, a rebellion against fleeting thrills, proving that true power lies in the slow forging of empires, not their fleeting blaze. The soundtrack weaves a tapestry of war's heartbeat, a low, guttural chant that rises like a tide, its crescendos striking like iron on anvil, evoking the epic clashes of Lord of the Rings. Atu's battle cries, laced with Tamori Kusunoki's fierce vibrato, pierce like a blade, while the silence before a critical strike deafens, a void that amplifies the pulse of impending doom. A single, mournful string lingers after a pivotal exchange, wrapping around your heart like the echo of a promise broken, reminiscent of history's battle hymns that stirred nations. Can you hear it? The way the music becomes a character, whispering your own ambitions back to you, daring you to face their cost. And then, the world shifts, a collision of wills where steel meets soul, where a single act of defiance or sacrifice redefines the battlefield, not just of land, but of hearts. It's a moment that burns, a flash of clarity that sears through illusions, leaving you breathless, as if you stood at Thermopylae, witnessing a stand that reshapes history. What truth emerges from this crucible? What question lingers in the smoke, challenging you to reconsider the price of victory? Not every story begs to be seen. Some seize your spirit, demanding you march into their fray, to feel the frost and fire of creation in your bones. Are you ready to join this first campaign, to witness an episode that might carve new truths into your soul, redefining the boundaries of what you believe possible? Step into the crucible, watch now, and let the battle forge you anew.